From the dawn of time, humans have faced an unyielding challenge: how to master the elements that govern the world around them. The seasons, with their unrelenting cycles of heat and cold, wind and rain, have always shaped the course of our lives. Yet we, the human species, have shown a remarkable ability to adapt, to survive, and to thrive in environments where few others could. With nothing but the earth beneath us and the sky above, our ancestors took their first steps toward controlling the climates that surrounded them. Fire, the earliest tool we discovered, gave warmth against the cold and light in the darkness. But this was only the beginning. As we evolved, so too did our ability to harness nature, both to survive and to find comfort within it. The quest to stay warm, to cool down, to shelter ourselves from nature's whims would soon become a defining aspect of human history. This journey has spanned millennia, driven by an innate desire to bend the world to our will. Yet it is not just a story of technological progress, but of ingenuity, creativity, and above all, the enduring hope that we might one day master the elements themselves. The story of mankind's pursuit of climate control is one of determination, and it begins long before the rise of cities or the invention of industry. It begins with fire. Long before the advent of complex tools or grand cities, early humans faced an unforgiving world, one where survival depended on mastering the simplest of elements. The Stone Age, a time defined by raw survival, would lay the groundwork for humanity's enduring struggle against nature's extremes. In those early days, the solution to cold was a most elemental one: fire. The discovery of fire marked the dawn of humanity's journey toward controlling the climate. The flickering flames not only brought warmth against the chill of night, but also provided a means to cook food, ward off predators, and illuminate the darkness. This primal tool, though simple, was transformative, but fire alone was not enough. As the seasons shifted, humans needed more than warmth. They needed protection. And so, early humans turned to the resources around them. Animal skins, fur, and hides became the first wearable technology, offering insulation against the biting cold. These early garments, painstakingly fashioned from the animals they hunted, would form the foundation of clothing for millennia to come. In the absence of modern materials, shelter was essential. Stone and mud, the very bones of the earth, were used to create homes that shielded against the wind and cold. These shelters were often designed with an understanding of their environment: thick walls to retain heat in winter and openings to allow for ventilation in the summer. Early humans were already beginning to understand the interplay between shelter and climate. In these early days, survival was a communal effort. The ability to control the elements was not just the work of one person, but the cooperation of many. It was a shared knowledge passed down through generations, a testament to humanity's first steps toward not just surviving the environment, but shaping it to their will. And thus, the story of humanity's pursuit of climate control began, humble yet profound. Fire and shelter were the first tools we wielded to change the conditions around us. But as we would come to learn, this was only the beginning. The road to mastering the elements would span millennia, and the tools would grow ever more sophisticated. As civilizations blossomed, humanity's relationship with the elements grew more sophisticated. The Stone Age was behind us, and with the rise of classical societies, the quest for comfort and control over our environment moved into new realms of ingenuity. It was during this time that we began to see the first true efforts at climate control, on a scale that would shape the future of architecture, engineering, and even daily life. In the Roman Empire, the art of climate control became both a luxury and a necessity. The Romans developed the Hipparchus, an ingenious system of underfloor heating that allowed them to warm their homes, public baths, and even their temples. It was a feat of engineering. Fire heated the air, which was then channeled through hollow spaces beneath the floors, warming the rooms above. For the first time, comfort was no longer subject to the whims of the weather. The Roman bathhouses were not just places for hygiene. They were social hubs, centers of relaxation and luxury. Water was carefully channeled from the great aqueducts to fill the massive basins, creating an oasis of warmth and steam. Here, the Romans found refuge from the cold and the stresses of daily life. It was a blend of comfort and communal activity that laid the foundation for public wellness practices in centuries to come. In the deserts of Persia, a different solution to the heat arose. The Windcatcher, a tower-like structure designed to capture the breeze, allowed ancient Persians to cool their homes, drawing in the wind and channeling it into shaded rooms. This ingenious adaptation of nature was a precursor to modern air conditioning, a simple yet effective way to counteract the oppressive heat of the region. In the East, the pursuit of warmth took on a different form. The onsen, natural hot springs found in Japan, offered not only warmth, but healing. These mineral-rich waters, heated by the earth itself, provided a sanctuary against the cold winters. The use of natural geothermal heat to warm the body was a tradition that continues to this day, embodying a harmony between nature and human comfort. In Greece, the concept of the shaded space, cool retreats from the midday heat, became a central part of public life. The agora, the marketplace, was designed with covered walkways, offering shelter from the scorching sun. Here, early Greeks recognized the importance of not just shelter, but of the space itself, creating environments that catered to both physical comfort and social interaction. These ancient innovations, whether the Hipparchus of Rome, the Windcatchers of Persia, or the geothermal springs of Japan, revealed humanity's growing mastery over its environment. No longer were we entirely at the mercy of nature's whims. The foundations had been laid not just for survival, but for the pursuit of comfort in a world where extremes of heat and cold were no longer insurmountable challenges. As the ancient world gave way to the medieval period, the advances of classical civilizations were often lost or forgotten in the wake of societal upheaval. But even in these darker ages, the struggle against the elements, be it the biting cold of northern winters or the summer heat of the southern plains, remained a constant drive. It was a time when humanity sought warmth and shelter in new ways, developing techniques that would echo through the centuries. In castles and manor houses across Europe, the hearth was the heart of the home. For centuries, this open flame was the primary source of heat, used not just for cooking, but to keep rooms warm during the harsh winter months. A vast fire would burn at the center of a great hall, its warmth radiating throughout the stone walls. Yet the open hearth also brought with it dangers. Fire was both a lifeline and a threat, often difficult to control in the large, drafty rooms. As medieval technology progressed, so too did the methods of heating. The invention of the small stove marked a shift in how heat was distributed. Unlike the open hearth, these early stoves were more efficient, directing heat into a confined space rather than letting it escape through the rafters. This was an early attempt at concentrating warmth within a smaller area, an innovation that would lay the groundwork for future advancements in climate control. Clothing, too, was evolving to meet the needs of the medieval world. The fashion of the time, thick woolen garments, layered furs, and cloaks, was designed to combat the cold, particularly in the northern regions of Europe. These clothes were not merely decorative, but functional, providing the insulation needed to withstand long winters and unpredictable weather. While the nobility enjoyed the luxury of large hearths and heated rooms, the common folk made do with far humbler means. Simple homes, often made of mud, straw, and timber, offered minimal protection from the elements. Yet even here, the ingenuity of the time could be seen in the design of their homes. Thick walls provided insulation, keeping out the cold while maintaining whatever heat could be generated by the small fires inside. As we move into the early modern period, the advent of the chimney signified another step forward in humanity's ability to control its environment. The chimney allowed smoke and heat to be safely channeled out of the home, reducing the risk of fire and improving the overall efficiency of heating. It was a symbol of a new understanding, not just of fire itself, but of the principles of airflow and ventilation. With the spread of chimneys came the development of larger towns and cities, and the growth of a burgeoning middle class. As people began to live in more concentrated areas, they required more effective methods of controlling the temperatures within their homes. The need for efficient heating, better clothing, and even cooling systems would continue to shape human progress for centuries to come. In the next phase of our story, as trade routes opened and ideas spread across the globe, a new chapter would begin. The medieval world had given way to the early modern period, and with it, new discoveries in science and technology would soon unlock even greater potential in our quest to master the elements. As the 16th century dawned, the age of exploration unfolded, driven by an insatiable thirst for discovery, trade, and expansion. For the first time, humanity set sail across vast, unknown oceans, pushing the limits of technology and survival. Amid the excitement of new lands and treasures, explorers faced the daunting challenge of keeping themselves comfortable and safe in the unforgiving extremes of heat and cold, on ships that were often as fragile as the men who sailed them. On board these early sailing vessels, the crew faced the elements head-on. The midday sun could be merciless, baking the sailors under its intense rays. Below deck, the conditions were little better, stiflingly hot in summer and bitterly cold in winter. Yet, in these early years of exploration, the ship itself was a kind of mobile sanctuary, offering shelter from storms, but little in the way of comfort. Within the confines of the ship, the need for warmth during colder months became more critical. Small stoves and fireplaces were used to heat the cramped, often damp spaces below deck, though the heat was poorly distributed and ventilation remained a constant challenge. Despite these rudimentary attempts at comfort, the reality was that these early explorers were still largely at the mercy of the weather. whether it was the scorching heat of the Caribbean or the bitter chill of the Arctic. In the colder reaches of the world, the sailors' clothing became their first line of defense against the elements. Furs, woolen garments, and layers of thick cloth provided insulation, while waterproof oils and skins helped keep the wet and cold at bay. The explorers' need for warmth in these regions led to the development of more specialized clothing, particularly in the northern latitudes, where the icy winds could freeze a man in moments. Meanwhile, back on land, settlers in the New World faced their own challenges in the battle against the climate. Early pioneers in the Americas had to quickly adapt to harsh winters and sweltering summers, building homes that could withstand both extremes. The use of local materials, such as timber and stone, allowed them to create shelters that provided insulation and ventilation, offering a fragile refuge from the unforgiving weather. In the tropics, where the heat could feel unbearable, explorers had to find ways to cope with the oppressive warmth. They relied on the trade winds to cool their ships as they sailed, but life in tropical ports and colonies was a different matter. The need for cooling solutions began to take shape, though it would be centuries before technology could truly address the relentless heat. As European ships began to cross oceans and explore the far corners of the Earth, humanity's quest for comfort in extreme conditions extended far beyond the familiar shores of Europe. The challenges of maintaining warmth in the icy waters of the north, or relief from the scorching sun in the tropical south, pushed explorers and settlers to experiment with new technologies, materials, and strategies, many of which would influence the developments of the centuries to come. The age of exploration not only expanded humanity's knowledge of the world, but also deepened our understanding of how to survive within it. It was an era where, despite the discomforts of life at sea and on land, the seeds of modern climate control were being sown, awaiting the innovations that would one day transform the way we live and thrive in even the harshest environments. As the 18th century gave way to the 19th, humanity entered a new era of unprecedented change, the Industrial Revolution. In the span of a few decades, machines began to take over the production of goods, and the world's cities grew exponentially. But with this surge in industry came a pressing question. How could the masses, now crowding into dense urban centers, find relief from the harsh conditions of the new industrial age? The factories, once symbols of progress, often became hot, overcrowded, and hazardous places to work. The roar of the machines was accompanied by the stifling heat produced by constant mechanical motion. To stay cool in the summer months, workers could rely on nothing but the occasional gust of air through open windows or the fleeting coolness of a passing breeze. But these were small comforts in the face of the industrial furnace. Within the homes of the burgeoning middle class, comfort became an increasingly attainable luxury. The hearth, once the central source of warmth in the home, remained a fixture, but it was now accompanied by a growing interest in newer technologies. Early attempts at central heating began to take shape, though they were still crude by today's standards. Coal-burning stoves, positioned in the center of the home, were designed to circulate heat through the rooms, offering some relief during the frigid winters. The late 19th century saw the introduction of more advanced heating systems, such as the hot air furnace. These furnaces, fueled by coal, circulated warm air through ducts and vents, warming entire homes with greater efficiency. For the first time, people could step into a room and feel the steady warmth of controlled heat. an invention that would lay the foundation for modern heating systems to come. But as industry spread, so too did the heat generated by the machines, and with it, the pollution that blanketed the skies. The challenge of cooling down these increasingly overcrowded cities became more urgent. The smog, the dirt, and the relentless heat were a constant reminder of the tension between industry and the need for human comfort. The idea of cooling a space was beginning to be explored in earnest. In 1820, a man by the name of Michael Faraday made a groundbreaking discovery that would eventually change the course of climate control forever. By compressing and liquefying ammonia, Faraday paved the way for refrigeration, an invention that would go on to revolutionize not just the preservation of food, but the very notion of keeping cool. At first, refrigeration was a slow and expensive process. However, by the late 19th century, it began to see wider use, first in the transport of perishable goods, then in homes and businesses. It was a precursor to what we would one day know as air conditioning, a critical component in the quest for comfort in the modern world. By the 1880s, the principles of refrigeration were being applied to the cooling of indoor spaces. In 1902, Willis Haviland Carrier developed the first modern air conditioner to control the temperature and humidity in a printing plant. His invention, designed to create a stable environment for printing, would soon find its way into homes, theaters, and businesses, heralding the next stage of humanity's pursuit of comfort. The Industrial Revolution had, in many ways, made life more comfortable, but it had also introduced new complexities. Cities grew hotter and more polluted, and the disparities between the wealthy and the working class became more pronounced. The desire for climate control, for comfort in the face of urban sprawl and industrial heat, was an integral part of the modern world taking shape. As industry advanced and cities flourished, so too did mankind's drive to control the very elements around him. The Industrial Revolution was the moment when humanity truly began to harness the forces of nature, not just for survival, but for comfort, shaping the world in ways unimaginable just a few generations before. But this was only the beginning. The next phase of innovation, in the 20th century, would redefine our relationship with climate control forever. The dawn of the 20th century marked an era of unprecedented change. The electrification of the world brought with it a new wave of technological innovation that would fundamentally alter the way we experience temperature, both in our homes and in the world around us. In just a few decades, the inventions that once seemed impossible became everyday conveniences, allowing humanity to control the very air they breathed and the temperature they lived in. By the early 20th century, the humble electric fan was a common feature in homes, offering a simple yet effective means of cooling. Powered by electricity, these fans replaced the labor-intensive methods of the past. No longer would people rely on hand-cranked fans or open windows alone to chase away the oppressive summer heat. But it was in 1902 that a truly revolutionary leap in climate control would occur. In Brooklyn, New York, engineer Willis Haviland Carrier developed the first air conditioning system to regulate both temperature and humidity. Originally designed for a printing plant, it quickly became apparent that this technology could transform not only industries, but the very way people lived and worked. Carrier's system found a home in theaters, department stores, and offices, offering a welcome respite from the summer heat. The promise of air conditioning spread rapidly, transforming indoor spaces into climate-controlled havens, a luxury once reserved only for the rich. By the mid-20th century, air conditioning became a defining feature of modern life in many parts of the world. From the skyscrapers of New York to the offices of Los Angeles, the widespread adoption of this technology created a new standard of comfort. It was no longer just a luxury, but an essential part of life in the sweltering heat of summer. As the world recovered from the devastation of the Second World War, new technologies began to reshape daily life. In the United States, the rise of the suburban home brought with it the widespread installation of air conditioning. What was once a commercial luxury became a staple of everyday life as families sought comfort in their new homes. Air conditioning also became a key player in industry, allowing factories and warehouses to maintain optimal conditions for both workers and machinery. This marked the beginning of an era where the power of climate control reached not just our homes, but the very engines of industry. The 20th century ushered in a new era of efficiency. The electrical grid, which had expanded to cover most of the industrialized world, enabled innovations in heating and cooling that had once been unimaginable. Electric-powered refrigeration became commonplace, allowing for the long-distance transportation of perishable goods, and the climate-controlled environments of homes, offices, and even entire shopping malls began to spread across the globe. As the century progressed, the quest for greater comfort did not stop with air conditioning. Advances in insulation, double-glazed windows, and energy-efficient heating systems offered new ways to maintain a stable climate in homes and workplaces. By the late 20th century, smart homes with automated climate controls began to emerge, allowing residents to manage their environments with the touch of a button, or even remotely. By the end of the century, the concept of climate control was no longer confined to just air conditioning or heating. It became an integrated part of our homes, our businesses, and even our cities. The systems that we had once relied on to survive the heat or cold became more efficient, more tailored to our needs, and more connected to the technology around us. Yet, as we moved further into the 20th century, a new challenge arose. As humanity embraced the comforts of climate control, the environmental impact of our technologies became harder to ignore. The 21st century would demand new answers that balance comfort with sustainability, as the quest for climate control enters a new phase of innovation. As we entered the 21st century, the world found itself at a crossroads. The technologies of the past had granted us the power to control our environment, but with that power came responsibility. The climate, both global and personal, became a focal point of our technological efforts. Advances in climate control, once thought of as luxury, now intersected with a pressing need for sustainability, efficiency, and environmental awareness. In the modern age, climate control is no longer just about staying warm or cool. It's about staying smart. The development of smart systems that adjust temperature and air quality with precision has transformed how we live. These systems, powered by artificial intelligence, learn from our habits and preferences, anticipating our needs before we even make a request. Whether it's adjusting the temperature of your home or the humidity levels in your office, these systems optimize comfort while maximizing energy efficiency. But the challenge of climate control has grown more complex. The demand for energy-efficient buildings has led to innovations in insulation, low-energy windows, and passive cooling techniques. Architects and engineers are designing structures that not only protect us from the elements, but also reduce the strain on the planet's resources. Solar panels now power homes, while green roofs and walls provide natural insulation, filtering the air and regulating temperatures. In the cities of tomorrow, the systems that manage temperature and energy flow are becoming as interconnected as the people who live in them. Smart grids, powered by renewable energy sources, ensure that the right amount of electricity is used at the right time, distributing power where it's needed most. Sensors embedded throughout the city monitor air quality, adjusting ventilation in real time to reduce pollution and optimize the comfort of millions of residents. Air purification and climate control are now seamlessly integrated into our homes. With the rise of personal environmental control, people can monitor and adjust the air quality and temperature in real time, responding to changing weather patterns and personal needs. In many homes, air purifiers ensure that harmful particles and allergens are removed, while climate control systems adapt to changes in external temperature. But the true innovation of the 21st century has been in the way we generate and use energy. Wind, solar, and geothermal power are now central to efforts to create sustainable, low-carbon energy systems. Electric vehicles, once a vision of the future, are now commonplace, and the energy used to power them is increasingly sourced from clean, renewable resources. Yet, even as we embrace renewable energy, the pursuit of cooling technology continues. In laboratories around the world, scientists are working tirelessly to develop cooling systems that use little to no harmful refrigerants. In an age where the effects of climate change are becoming ever more apparent, the need for efficient, eco-friendly cooling solutions has never been more pressing. In rural and remote areas, innovative cooling systems are being developed that don't rely on electricity at all. Geothermal cooling, for example, taps into the Earth's natural temperature, keeping homes cool even in the hottest climates without the need for electricity. Passive cooling techniques, where buildings are designed to naturally stay cool using materials that absorb and release heat, are becoming more common, particularly in regions with extreme temperatures. As the 21st century progresses, humanity is increasingly turning to nature itself to manage the climate. Wind and solar energy are no longer distant ideals. They are central to our energy production. The vast wind farms that stretch across the plains and the solar fields that cover vast areas of desert are symbols of mankind's changing relationship with climate control. It is clear now that mankind's quest for climate control is not just about comfort. It is about survival. As the world faces new challenges, rising temperatures, environmental destruction, and resource scarcity, the solutions we create today will shape the future of our planet. With innovation, sustainability, and a deep connection to the natural world, the future of climate control looks poised to usher in a new era of balance between technology and the environment. From the ancient sparks of fire to the intelligent systems of today, mankind's pursuit of climate control has been a journey marked by ingenuity, adaptation, and necessity. Across centuries, civilizations have sought to conquer the elements, creating solutions that reflect both our greatest achievements and our deepest challenges. In our pursuit to remain comfortable, we have transformed our surroundings, designing environments that shelter us from the harshest conditions. But this pursuit has also come with a cost. The impact of our technologies on the planet has never been more evident. The very systems that keep us warm in winter and cool in summer have in many ways contributed to the global challenges we now face. Rising temperatures, dwindling resources, and the destabilization of natural ecosystems. Yet, as we face these challenges, we also see a shift, a transformation. The technologies we've developed are beginning to reflect not just human ingenuity, but also a growing awareness of our responsibility to the planet. From the renewable energy sources powering our cities to the eco-friendly cooling systems that minimize harm to the environment, there is hope that humanity's relationship with climate control can evolve in harmony with nature. In this new age of innovation, collaboration, and sustainability, humanity stands at a pivotal moment. We have the tools, the knowledge, and the creativity to forge a future where our pursuit of climate control no longer threatens the planet, but instead helps nurture it. The story of mankind's quest to control the climate is far from over. As we continue to learn from the past, adapt to the present, and innovate for the future, we must remember that true mastery lies not in the control of the climate itself, but in our ability to coexist with it, to shape a future that ensures the well-being of both humanity and the planet. For the journey continues, and our next chapter in the pursuit of climate control is yet to be written.